Hi, this is David Neese with EV World News, where we talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. I'm here with founder Bill Moore. How's it going, Bill?
Going great, thank you.
Always good to see you. Let's see what we've got today on EV World. If I can get this up here. Do you want to talk a little bit about you said we hit a big milestone in the
We
RSS space.
did, yeah. Yesterday, we passed over 50,000 news items in our RSS stream database. So I started that about a little over 15 months ago. And in 15 months, that's the database now archives well over 15,000, I'm sorry, 50,000 news items, which just shows you how explosive this whole electric vehicle area and electric vehicle world is becoming. Just phenomenal.
That is pretty amazing. That is a lot of articles to go out in that
A
news
lot
feed.
of it's a lot of time sitting in this seat, believe me.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. It's really amazing what you've done from the EV world. I mean, for people who don't know, Bill started the evworld.com website in 1998, and
Yep.
for years it was the #1 search result for electric vehicles all over the world. And Bill has been painstakingly doing this for 25 years now. Let's see. So you wanted to talk a little bit about the burning Dutch cargo ship.
Yeah, there was an update on that, and I don't know if you've got the tab up. Well, that's one, but you might want to go to the if you've got that tab, or I can show you what I've got on my screen. But they've got photographs now of the cars coming off of the ship, and you can see the side of the ship. It's all scorched and burnt, above a certain level. And so I came across this article, and it talked about, let's see, the title of the article is entitled Burned Mercedes EQE from Burned Out Ship Drowned in Water to Prevent Another Fire.
Why
And then
don't you
I
go
got,
ahead and pull that up? Why don't you go ahead and share your
oh,
screen?
all right, let me see if I can get it here. Well, let me get back over here to studio. And we share the screen. Oh, no, I want that one up there.
Oh,
And let's see, let
here
me
we
go
go.
over
There
here.
it is.
Yeah, there it is. So they have this photograph. It's a YouTube, but here's a screen capture of it. This is the car, and then you look at that. Oh my God, that
Oh, we're
car!
not sharing that. Right now we're showing EV World.
Oh, well, let's see. What am I
Yeah,
doing
so
here?
so close out that one and then reopen.
All right,
So
let me get
so
over here.
stop sharing screen for a second.
Hold on, we'll get there. Stop. There we go.
Now go to
Now go
share
to
screen
that
again
one.
and then pick the new page. Because when you change pages on this, if you delete a page, it exits out. Otherwise, it'll
Ah,
come back.
okay.
There we go. Oh, here we
There we
go.
go. All right. So that's the photograph of the Mercedes electric car that they pulled off the ship, and they're going to obviously apparently put in a bath of water to prevent oxygen from getting to the batteries and the thing burning. And the presumption here is that this car was likely the source of the fire. Um, that later engulfed the ship. But if you go down, let's see if I can, I'll shift over here again, and you look at, is it this one? I got to find the right photograph. You go down, yeah, there it is. Okay, so come down to this one. Let's see, do this. So there are the cars that came off of that ship. So obviously, those are all the cars, no, not all, but there was nearly 500 electric cars on this boat. Any of those look like they caught on fire to you?
No,
They
no.
don't. So what I got to looking back at the photograph of the other ship, if I've in my over the years I've seen enough photographs of burnt out electric cars to know that generally, because the batteries are down here on the vehicle, the fire generally starts there, and when the fire gets going, you're left with some melted aluminum rims, some charred charcoal rubber and then a bunch of, burnt out interiors. This car looks to me like it was under when they were dousing the fire in the ship.
Yeah.
All of that, water, with dust, with, carbon and stuff like that from above the deck came down onto this particular car and then, leaked on it. I don't, with the exception of what appears to be the window being broken out,
Hmm.
with the exception of that, that's the only thing that I can see that even would reflect that this car was actually on fire. I don't see anything there that would suggest to me that this car actually burnt. It only got a whole bunch of carbon from above deck, where the fire originated up on what, deck 12 or something like that. So, it may be that it was engaged in the fire, but I don't think it started the fire because that fire burned for several days, and that car, with apart from the carbon black on it, looks like it's still in good condition. So I just brought that up because I was just a little perturbed at the headline: "Burned Mercedes." Um, well, maybe it was burned and maybe it wasn't. It doesn't look like it from that photograph. But anyway, so that's my rant for today. I just wanted to point that out to everybody, that sometimes these headlines are meant to attract clicks, to say the least.
Well,
So
they still have they really figured out what caused the fire in the first place?
no, it does not yet. That's why they've begun unloading all these vehicles off of the car, off the carrier.
Interesting. Huh. Well,
I'm
anyways,
sure. I'm sure at some point we'll find out what it was. But I'm less. I mean, my first thought, like everybody else, was, "Oh crap, one of the cars caught fire." But that appears to be less and less likely. And that car to me, and in the photograph, doesn't suggest that it was the cause of the fire. Now, if they bring off another one, that's even worse, that could be. But when you see all those other Mercedes, and BMWs sitting there that look like they're brand new and haven't been touched.
right, right. All
So,
right. Well, we're going to go ahead
okay,
and talk
moving on.
talk about this article from Electric. The Tesla announces the production of the 2 millionth EV at Giga Shanghai. That is really impressive.
Yeah, oh, they started construction on that plant in in an empty field in 2019. They began producing cars in 2021. Then, like a year later, or something like I think it was 14 months later, they had produced their millionth car.
Hmm.
And now, a year later, they're at 2 million cars out of that factory, which is just
It
phenomenal. I mean,
it's
it's amazing.
surpassed Fremont. It's surpassed the Fremont, California factory.
Oh
And
yeah. Well, the Fremont, California plant is much smaller than the Gigafactory.
okay.
Although that being said, that was originally a Toyota General Motors plant, and it was one of the largest in California at the time.
Wow, listen to this. In August of last year, Tesla announced that the factory produced its 1 millionth vehicle. So since August of last year,
Of
so in
last year, so one
just
year
one,
later,
just a, well, 13 months, 13 months, they
13 months.
produced
Yeah,
another million. That is a
yeah,
lot of cars.
it's amazing, absolutely
Um,
amazing. Which
anyways,
which probably explains why Lucid is now looking to possibly set up production there.
well, like we've said many times, they are the largest adopter of EVs, and it's really hard to comprehend the scope of the amount of electric vehicles. But like some of the things I've said before, though, they can accept a much smaller car, and they're used to having smaller vehicles, whereas the United
Yeah.
States, we like our big vehicles, which makes anything electric
Oh
expensive.
yeah, a great many. I don't know what the percentage is, but a great many of those millions of cars that they buy in China are the small little. I would regard them as sort of micro cars. They're more urban city cars for
Right.
few people, and maybe I think they're probably even a little smaller than my Fiat 500.
I saw
Um,
an article the other day that we had that was talking about a super cheap electric truck in China, and the thing looked a little bigger than the toys that little kids ride around in, like the little pink Jeep and
oh
stuff. Do you
yeah,
see a little 4-year-old? My daughter had one of those. So that was my first
you can
electric
get
car, to
one
be honest.
shipped to you in a crate in the U.S. for like $2,000 or some ridiculous number. So yeah,
Right. No, I get it. Some of that's a little bit absurd. Our next article we're going to talk about. This is from Benzinga. Ross Gerber lauds Tesla's clean energy solution. Gas is stupid at this point.
yeah,
And let's see what we got here.
and he even has worse words for hydrogen.
Really?
Oh yeah,
So
he calls hydrogen a disaster.
Gerber took to X, the
Right,
social media
formerly
platform formerly known as Twitter.
the artist formerly known as.
Yeah, to express his observations at a Santa Monica gas station that had installed Tesla superchargers and a hydrogen pump,
Yep.
calling hydrogen solution a disaster and deemed conventional gasoline stupid at this point. I think there's a lot of possible solutions. We've looked at hydrogen, we've looked at hybrid solutions. I'm privy to some data that could make some vehicles, gas-powered vehicles, go 200 miles per gallon that I've seen schematics on. There's new things coming down the road that, a lot of this is how do we reduce carbon emission? How do we reduce pollution? There's a lot of great solutions out there. It'll be interesting to see what comes out on top and whether we need a mix, eventually with the
Oh yeah,
economies.
we will probably need some type of a mix of what that ratio is. I would get, again, we talked about this last time, is that it'll be driven by the economics.
Yeah.
Which is more economic? I like to explain to people that if you have a dollar,
Mhm.
only about 10 cents, this is according to the Rocky Mountain Institute, only about 10 cents of that actually, if talking in terms of the amount of energy you can buy for a dollar, only 10 cents of that actually moves the car. Whereas in contrast, 85 cents of that dollar moves an electric vehicle. It's just it's just the economics. It's just the
Interesting.
efficiency. The battery in my car is 24 kilowatt hours.
Hmm.
In terms of gasoline, that is between two-thirds and three-quarters of a gallon of gasoline. And yet that car will propel me 100 miles.
Hmm.
And typically I will see on the dashboard display, I will see typically my miles per gallon equivalent of in the 150 to 160 miles per gallon equivalent.
Do you
It's
even need a
just
level
that much more efficient.
Do you even need a level 2 charger at home for that car?
No, you don't. But my car came with, because it's an Italian design, German engineered, Mexican made by the Stellantis group. It came with a charger that can be used not at the fastest level 2 charging level, but because that's somewhat dictated by the charger, that's onboard charger on the car. But I can still cut my charging time in half. But for 3 years, I just charged it at 110 or 120 volts.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
anyways, let's see if there's anything more here from. It doesn't look like there's much more from Ross Gerber, but Gerber lauded General Motors' decision to adopt Tesla's North American charging standard. Let's see. And
yeah,
that's
he's been
about it
pretty
for him.
pro Tesla and pro Musk here for some time now. So
Kind of like Kathy Wood.
yeah, in a way, I would say, yeah, like Kathy would. Yep.
So, anyways, we've got one more article for today, and this one is from Spectator. And to fight climate change, stop fighting China on electric
Yeah, this
vehicles.
is really an interest. I would encourage people if they get a chance, get over to the website and click on that article and read it. It's fairly insightful. I mean, it makes the case that that we talked about this a little bit last time, is that gave the Chinese, because of our policies and things, it gave the Chinese a chance to basically leapfrog us in terms of technology. And now because of government policies and just because they opened up that whole industry, they're the leaders in terms of the numbers of EVs on the road, and many times equal to or better technology than their international competitors. So she's just making the point, says, we should allow the world to adopt or to accept or take advantage of this and work much more collaboratively with the Chinese. And of course, that presents certain political problems here in the U.S. Because you've got the United Auto Workers who are rightfully afraid of their futures and their jobs. You've got car makers who here, and especially in Europe, who are very concerned about market share, because these cars are every bit as good a quality now as many of the cars that are coming out in electric cars coming out in Europe. It's an interesting conundrum. If it were the perfect world, then we'd all cooperate and we wouldn't have this competitive thing. But then on the other hand, as she points out, that competition is a good thing too, because it's forcing the European car makers and American car makers to try to play catch up and to try to do better. So it's a good read. It's a good, interesting article.
Well, one of the big concerns is that China is dominant in this field, in the electric vehicle field
Mm-hmm.
now, and the US is definitely, in theory, has fallen behind. I mean, Tesla is a US company,
Right.
obviously, but Tesla's selling more cars over there. But anyways, a common concern among government officials that while China faces strong headwinds, the country might still have what it takes to firm up its position and maintain dominance as an EV producer and exporter. Such worries aren't confined to US. Governments around the world want to cut China out of the EV market. I get that. I get that. I mean, Japan has long been dominant in the car industry too. And so Japan
And we went
builds
to
cars
war
there.
with that country,
We did. We did. And
and
it
we
is
actually were allies of the Chinese. So it's sort of interesting how that
for a
all
few
turned
years.
around.
For a few years. My dad was in Korea, so
Yeah.
that narrative changed for a bit. But I don't believe that China is really our global enemy. I think a lot of the things that their government does is bluster. But, uh, I mean, really, geographically, if you look at China, where are they going to go? Are they going to invade Siberia? I mean, Taiwan is kind of would be suicidal for them. I don't see them really going on. They're not going to go invade India. So it's like there's not a whole lot around them that's worth really going after.
They keep encroaching, yeah, but yeah, where are they going to go? So,
Right. So I mean, it's an interesting,
and I have,
situation.
I have been over there, and I've sat down and I've dined with them, and they are there. It's a different culture, and but they're still human beings, and they still laugh, and they still cry, and they still have the same sort of desires to live a full, abundant life as we do. They just have a government that I find just too oppressive and too dictatorial. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to live under it. I would want to live under their system.
No, I get that. I get that. And it's just really an interesting conundrum because China is going to be the leader in that field for a while just because they're adopting it. Their market
Momentum.
is accept. I don't know how much the government subsidizes individual purchases of electric vehicles like the United States does.
Yeah, they've had a program over there. They have begun to cut that program back. It sort of comes and goes actually, but they did cut it back for a while. Then I think because they needed to stimulate the economy, so they may have brought some of that back. But it's a moving target. Let's put it that way. It's kind of, in some respect, it's like here. It's kind of a moving target. There are all kinds of EVs on the market, but under the Biden policies, only certain of those vehicles are available to be subsidized by tax credits or rebates or whatever's available.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, you
Okay.
know that as well as I do. So
Yeah. All right. Well, Bill, that's all we've got for today. Good
good.
show.